That morning, Harry had just finished his night shift. He was 15 minutes away from home when he saw black smoke rising from an apartment building. A woman was trapped on the 4th floor, screaming for help. No backup, no gear. His body already broken from years of running into flames. He knew if something happened to him, his 14-year-old daughter would have no one left, but he ran into the fire anyway. Hours later, that same woman walked into his job interview. Before we continue, I just want to say thank you to everyone who's been with this channel for a while now. Your support means everything, and it's the reason I get to keep sharing stories like this one. If you're new here, welcome to the family. Now, let's get back to the story. The night before everything changed, Harry sat at the kitchen table in his small apartment, staring at the suit hanging on the back of the bedroom door. He had bought it 3 years ago for his wife's funeral and never wore it again. Tomorrow, this suit would carry him into a new life. Or so he hoped. His shift at the fire station had ended 2 hours ago, but sleep refused to come. It never did anything important. Harry sat with a cold cup of coffee, listening to the silence of the apartment and the distant hum of the city outside. Footsteps in the hallway made him look up. Alice appeared in the doorway, still in her pajamas, her school notebook pressed against her chest. "Couldn't sleep either?" Harry asked. His daughter shook her head and walked over to sit across from him. She had her mother's eyes. Every time Harry looked at her, he saw Grace looking back, and the ache in his chest never quite went away. Alice glanced at the suit visible through the open bedroom door. "You ready for tomorrow?" "As ready as I'll ever be." "What time's the interview?" 2 o'clock. I should be back before dinner." Alice nodded, picking at a loose thread on her notebook cover. Harry could see the question she was holding back, the one she had been asking in 100 different ways since the accident 2 years ago. The beam that nearly killed him, the weeks in the hospital, the doctors telling him his lungs would never fully recover. "It's a desk job," he said gently. "Safety director. I'd be reviewing plans, inspecting sites, writing reports. No more fires." Alice looked up. "Promise?" The word hung between them. Harry thought about all the promises he had made to his daughter over the years, the ones he kept and the ones that circumstances forced him to break. "I promise I'll do everything I can to come home to you every night," he said. "That's why I'm doing this." Alice considered his words, then stood up and walked around the table. She was 14 now, too old for hugs, she always said, but tonight she wrapped her arms around her father and held on tight. Harry closed his eyes and breathed in the scent of her shampoo. His little girl was growing up so fast. In 4 years, she would be leaving for college, starting her own life. He wanted to be there to see it. He wanted decades with her, not the uncertain handful of years the doctors had warned him about if he stayed on active duty. "I should let you sleep," Alice said, pulling back. "You're the one with school tomorrow." She smiled, just a little. "Dad, you're gonna get this job. I can feel it." Then she disappeared down the hallway, and Harry was alone again with his thoughts and the weight of everything riding on tomorrow. Across the city, Serena sat on the sofa of her temporary apartment with her laptop open and her phone face down beside her. The apartment was a rental, clean and impersonal, close to the construction site she was overseeing. She had been living here for 3 months, ever since the project began. Her real home was 40 minutes away, but she rarely saw it anymore. She rarely saw anything except spreadsheets and blueprints, and the faces of contractors who always wanted more time and more money. Her phone buzzed. Serena turned it over and saw a text from her son. "Mom, are you coming this weekend?" 12 years old, and Miles had already learned to ask questions he expected disappointment from. Serena could picture him lying in bed at his father's house, phone glowing in the dark, waiting for her response. She typed, I'll be there. I promise. Her thumb hovered over the send button. How many times had she made that promise? How many times had she broken it? There was always something. A crisis at work, a meeting that couldn't be rescheduled, a deadline that meant life or death for the project, even if it meant nothing to a boy who just wanted to see his mother. Serena deleted the message and typed again. I'll try my best, sweetheart. That felt worse. Cowardly. She deleted that too. The laptop demanded her attention. Tomorrow she had interviews to conduct for a new safety director position. The company needed someone who understood that safety wasn't just paperwork. Someone who had seen what happened when corners were cut and protocols were ignored. She scrolled through the list of candidates. Most had impressive credentials, engineering degrees, certifications, years of experience in corporate environments. One name caught her eye. Harry Thompson. 18 years as a firefighter. No degree, but field experience that none of the others could match. Serena made a mental note to pay attention to that one. Her phone screen had gone dark. The unsent message to Miles waited in the void, neither delivered nor deleted. She told herself she would send it in the morning. She told herself that once this project was finished, everything would be different. She would take a vacation. She would spend real time with her son. She would become the mother she always meant to be. But tonight, exhaustion won. Serena's eyes grew heavy. The laptop slid to the side as her head fell back against the cushions. She fell asleep with the phone still in her hand and the message still unsent. Harry woke at 4:30, his internal clock refusing to let him rest any longer. He moved quietly through the apartment, showering and dressing in jeans and an old sweatshirt. The suit would wait until the afternoon. Right now, he needed to clear his head. He left a note on the kitchen table for Alice. Went for a drive. Back soon. Love, Dad. Early morning drives were his ritual. The city was different before dawn, quieter and somehow more honest. Harry liked to watch the sky change colors over the skyline, liked the way the empty streets made him feel like the only person alive in the world. He drove without a destination, letting instinct guide him through familiar neighborhoods. Past the school where Alice would be in a few hours. Past the hospital where Grace had spent her final weeks. Past the fire station where he had worked for nearly 2 decades. The route took him down Ashford Street, past an old apartment building that had been converted into temporary corporate housing. He had responded to a small kitchen fire there once, years ago. Nothing serious. Just a reminder that danger could hide anywhere. Harry was about to turn onto the highway when he saw the smoke. Black and thick, it poured from a 4th-floor window, rising against the gray morning sky. Orange flames flickered at the edges of the glass. Even from the street, Harry could see that this was bad. This was very bad. He pulled over and got out of the car. People were streaming out of the building's entrance, coughing and crying, some barefoot, some still in their nightclothes. A woman clutched a small dog to her chest. An elderly man leaned against a parked car, struggling to breathe. Sirens wailed in the distance, but they were far away, minutes at least, maybe longer. Harry looked up at the 4th floor. The smoke was thicker now, billowing out in angry clouds, and then he saw her, a woman at the window. Her face was a mask of terror, her mouth open in a scream that barely reached the street. She was pounding on the glass, trying to break through, but the smoke was pulling her back. She was disappearing. Harry stood frozen on the sidewalk. Every instinct screamed at him to move, but his feet would not obey. He was not on duty. He had no gear. His lungs were already damaged, and one more serious exposure could be the end. The interview was in 10 hours. If he got hurt now, everything he had worked for would be gone. And Alice. God, Alice. She had already lost her mother. If Harry died in that building, she would be alone. 14 years old with no one left in the world. The woman at the window was gone now. The smoke had swallowed her completely. Harry thought about driving away. He thought about the promise he had made to his daughter. He thought about all the reasons this was not his responsibility. Then he thought about the kind of man he would become if he let a stranger die while he stood and watched. He thought about what he would tell Alice, how he would look her in the eyes and explain that he had chosen his own safety over someone else's life. Harry started running. He did not feel brave. He did not feel heroic. He felt terrified and exhausted and certain that this was a mistake. But he ran anyway, because some choices define who you are, and Harry had already made his. The lobby was already filling with smoke when Harry pushed through the front doors. People shoved past him, desperate to escape, their faces streaked with tears and soot. A man stumbled and fell, and Harry hauled him to his feet and pointed him toward the exit without breaking stride. The main stairwell was impassable. Flames roared behind the door, and heat radiated through the metal so intensely that Harry could feel it from 3 feet away. He turned and ran toward the back of the building, searching for another way up. The fire escape. Every building like this had one, usually neglected and rusting, but still functional. Harry found the access door near the rear exit and slammed his shoulder against it. The hinges screamed in protest, but the door gave way. Cold morning air hit his face as he stepped onto the metal platform. The fire escape clung to the side of the building like a skeleton, rust eating through the bolts, the railings shaking with every step. Harry did not let himself think about whether it would hold. He just climbed. By the second floor, his lungs were already burning. The smoke was thinner out here, but his damaged airways could not tell the difference. Each breath felt like inhaling glass. He kept climbing. 3rd floor. 4th floor. The window to the hallway was already shattered, smoke pouring out in thick black waves. Harry pulled off his sweatshirt and soaked it with water from a bottle someone had dropped on the landing. He pressed the wet fabric against his nose and mouth, then climbed through the broken window. The hallway was a tunnel of darkness and heat. Harry dropped to his hands and knees, staying below the worst of the smoke, and crawled toward the apartment where he had seen the woman. The carpet was hot beneath his palms. Somewhere ahead, he could hear the crackle and roar of flames consuming everything in their path. The apartment door was open. Harry pulled himself through and found her lying on the floor near the sofa, unconscious, her body curled in on itself as if she had been trying to make herself small enough to escape. He grabbed her shoulder and shook. "Hey! Hey, wake up!" The woman's eyes fluttered open. She coughed violently, her whole body convulsing, and for a moment Harry thought she might not be able to move at all. "My son," she gasped. Her voice was barely a whisper, shredded by smoke. "I never sent the message. My son." Harry did not understand what she meant, but there was no time to ask. "We have to go. Right now." He pulled her arm over his shoulder and lifted her to her feet. She was heavier than she looked, or maybe he was weaker than he wanted to admit. Either way, they stumbled together toward the door. The hallway had gotten worse. The fire had spread while Harry was inside the apartment, and now flames blocked the path to the window he had climbed through. The only other option was the main corridor, which led to the central stairwell. Harry made the calculation in his head. The stairwell had been impassable from the lobby, but maybe higher up it was still clear. Maybe they could get to the roof. Maybe the fire department would arrive in time to rescue them from above. It was a terrible plan,